Mm. Hello friends, and welcome to the Drew Discusses Literature special, where we will be discussing the Southern classic As I Lay Dying, whilst I sip upon my alcoholic beverage. That's a lie. It's simply root beer. Our first step to analyzing this interestingly written book by William Faulkner, who is a dear friend of mine, is to discuss the possible meaning of this piece of writing. We see, as the story progresses, that while the Bundren family of Ance, Cash, Darrell, Jewel, Dewey Dell, and Vardaman travel to Jefferson to bury their dead mother Addie, some of them labor under ulterior motives. Ance, for instance, wants to go to town to attain new teeth. Dewey Dell goes to town to abort her pregnancy, and Vardaman wants to travel to town to purchase a new toy train. These selfish interests that the family members keep to themselves during the duration of the journey, under the guise of burying their mother Addie in the town like she had wanted, suggests our theme that heroic acts only contain surface-level validity. Now that we've defined the meaning of this piece of literature, it's time to discuss how alienation and loneliness, a big element in this story, contributes to help build this meaning. The term alienation is defined by Arthur M. Harkins in his journal Alienation and Related Concepts to indicate self-estrangement due to increasing knowledge. Then, in Ram N. Sine's Loneliness, Dynamics, Dimensions, and Many Faces, he discusses how loneliness is a condition of the human existence which seems to be an effect of unhappiness, abuse, hatred, contempt, mistrust, and scorn. I'm sure these definitions sound familiar to you from those of you who have read the book. All the characters in the Bundren family appear to be alienated from each other at most points of the story, usually due to the fact that they don't hold much trust in one another and are unhappy with their current situation. Vardaman, Dewey Dell, and Ance are the best examples of this. Vardaman is under the impression that his mother is a fish, and nobody seems to understand this, or truly care about his antics, and he's estranged from the rest of them in his struggles to identify his mother, and he's laboring under his obsession of the toy train in town. Dewey Dell doesn't trust anyone in her family to tell them that she is pregnant, despite the store clerk advising her to confide in them for their help. From her mistrust and unhappiness from the Bundrens, Dewey Dell is left alienated and lonely as she makes poor decisions in order to abort her pregnancy. Now the father, Ance, is unhappy with the life he leads and constantly laments about how unlucky he is as a person now that he is without a spouse and front teeth. Vardaman, Dewey Dell, and Ance are the characters especially magnified by their alienation from the rest of the family due to their mistrust, self-estrangement, and miscommunications with one another. And that is why they find themselves alienated in their self-interest to travel to Jefferson. This is why, due to their own separate motives that they stand alone in, they support the theme that heroic acts only contain surface-level validity because they all have underlying reasons for visiting Jefferson besides the noble task of taking Addie's body to the town. Burying Addie has become a second-hand duty due to their own selfish callings. Darrell proves another kind of alienation among the Bundren family, but for reasons very different from Vardaman, Dewey Dell, and Ance, who it seemed were only in it to please themselves. Darrell has been noted several times throughout the book to have a different way of thinking compared to the rest of his family, and this is what sets him apart, especially after Addie's death, with whom he was very alike. Under this completely different way of thinking, Darrell believes that he is talking to Addie in her coffin when the family reaches Gillespie's farm. He is eventually put under the impression that Addie wants to be set free and decides to do the heroic thing, alone, of cremating her in the Gillespie's barn. Jewel quickly saves the coffin and the animals in the burning barn, which puts a halt to the heroic act that Darrell had attempted to do, which questions the value of heroic intentions at their base level. With both the selfish intentions and the questionable value of heroic acts, it's clear to see from our analysis that alienation and loneliness, ever present in the Bundren family, has supported the theme that heroic acts only contain surface-level validity. For the end of my segment, I implore you, my audience, to play the quintessential children's game placed in front of you called Where Did Addie's Coffin Go? As you can see, this game involves a train, much like the train Vardaman had so wanted from Jefferson, and the one Daryl was shipped away on when he was decreed mentally unstable, with different letters on top. You must put the train cars in the correct order to find the answers that tell you, where did Addie's coffin go? Thank you for joining us this week on the Drew Discusses Literature Special, and I hope to see you next week, where I will be discussing the bromance between Nick and Jay in The Great Gatsby.